All right. Good afternoon. Another day, another dollar, as they say. And we have another energy company posting record profits. In this instance, we're referring to BP. So they are reporting 14-year high profits. This is a quarterly profit, by the way, guys. So, again, when you think about it in the context of what we're going through right now, this is a very bitter pill to follow for a lot to swallow for a lot of people. 6.9 billion pounds in profits in one quarter, in the midst of all of the energy price increases, so on and so forth. What can I say? Look, again, I come at this as an investor. I come at this as obviously a person, a citizen as well. And it's really hard to kind of find the balance and the happy spot between these two things, right? Because if you hold BP shares, this is a great thing because whenever you're looking to invest in a company, and again, I did a video earlier this year talking about what kind of companies would do well in these kind of circumstances. And I mentioned energy companies being part of the companies to have a look at. There will be significant winners. And that's proven to be true because at the end of the day, with energy prices increasing, companies like BP, and I'll show you something in a moment in an article, they are essentially putting it on the fact that they refine the crude as being the main source of their profits. Same thing with Shell last week. Exactly the same thing. It's the refinery process that they're making a lot of money on. So when you think about it from a pure capitalist point of view, right? So you have your investors, hat on, and you're thinking about this from the best way you can actually profit, make your money work harder for you. This is what you want to see. You want to see extremely high profits. And what we do know is, and I'm just going to share this with you, what we do know is that they're going to be doing, buybacks. They're going to be buying back shares because the company again is they feel undervalued. So BB said its bumper profit results were driven by strong refining margins and oil trading. It announced it would boost shareholder buyouts by 10% as well as buy back shares as a result of their higher earnings. Now, the crazy thing about this is the fact that they've got 6.9 billion pounds worth in profits. This is up 3 times the amount it was literally this time last year. It's crazy. So triple the amount of profits within the space of the year in the midst of an energy price crisis. Uh, that's as far as my capitalist head and my investor hat goes, really, because then I start thinking about people, individuals who will be looking at this kind of stuff, thinking, "How am I going to make ends meet?" When we're looking at any just gas prices potentially hitting 500 quid by the end of the year, just gas, not including electric, not including food, fuel, so on and so forth. It's crazy. And one of the things that I wrote this in my newsletter this week, that will be going out shortly, actually at 3. It's weird seeing the comment section here on YouTube because whilst I know that there have to be winners and losers, it's very, very different when you kind of interact with people who are not winning, who are losers. And I used to be a loser, so I'm not far removed from that, right? For the most downtrodden in society, this is a really, really difficult thing to cope with. And then seeing this in the news, of course, it's going to fuel outrage. And I think what this will result in essentially is, if you have been paying attention, don't pay UK. That campaign is picking up a lot of pace right now, and that is essentially this idea that on October the 1st, over a million people just cancel their direct debits. They don't pay the energy companies, and the energy companies then get the message and I'd guess do something, or the government steps in. They're harking back to the poll tax revolt, right? I wasn't around for that. I don't remember that myself, but that's what they're likening it to. But when you see profits like this, of course, people are going to think don't pay UK is a really good idea. And it's something that, we need to band together and we need to protest. And that is a way of protesting. Now, funny enough, in about 10 minutes' time on the channel, I've got a video that's going to be going live talking about don't pay UK and 5 things that you absolutely need to know. Because it's all well and good having a form of civil disobedience in some way, shape, or form to protest these kind of profits. Absolutely, we should, I think, but there are consequences. And I think there are other things that you can do that will potentially be more effective than just canceling your direct debit. If you cancel your direct debit, they send you a bill, then you don't pay it, well, then potentially you've got credit score issues, CCJs, potentially, if you really take it there. Um, it doesn't come without its own set of consequences. So you have to ask yourself, are you okay with those consequences? What are some other things that we could do or you should do instead or before you get to the point of doing something like don't pay UK? Like I understand why it will be appealing to a lot of people. I just don't necessarily agree with it. I think if you're paying for a service, you've got to pay for a service at the end of the day. You wouldn't walk into Tesco's and walk out with goods without paying for it. It's kind of the same thing in my head. There are better alternatives, and in that video, I talk a little bit about that. But I can't agree people for feeling the way that they feel when they see profits like this. So this 6.9 billion for BP. For British gas, it was 1.3 billion last week, and just last week for Shell, it was $11 billion. It's crazy in the midst of a crisis like this. And capitalism is here, obviously. I said, as an investor, this is a good thing. This is exactly what you want. And let me just show you on here, actually, the sentiment today for BP, because when you look at it, I mean, the stock is up 4% today. Okay, so BP stock is up 4% today. All right. Now, if you look at the sentiment, so this is how investors are feeling about the company. Look at that. It's 83% bullish. And this is because, again, it comes back to know-how and education, so on and so forth. And you could argue that to a certain extent, if you're positioned correctly, you get the benefit of being able to take advantage of placing your money in the right place. That is 100% true. But what this is telling us is people are heavily invested into these energy companies, as you should do if you're trying to make the smartest decision as an investor. These are the companies that you're plowing money into. Now, that isn't to say you should go and buy BP, you should go and buy Shell, you should go and buy British Gas. No, do your own research. If the fundamental research stacks up, then by all means go and buy it. But in my head, again, I think of it from an investor's point of view, and I also think about it from the point of view of just being a normal person. And once upon a time, not having the know-how to be able to do this or be able to discuss this kind of stuff on YouTube, I definitely acknowledge this separation, the divide that there is in society and people's know-how and so on and so forth, and the resources that are available. So if you do hold BP, congratulations, well done, absolutely, because the buybacks, you're going to benefit from that. The stock's up 4%, and the sad reality of it is, not maybe it isn't actually sad, but the stark reality of it is, I should say, is that regardless of what happens with energy prices, regardless of whether the government steps in, regardless of whether there are some kind of interventions, for the foreseeable future, we are going to continue to see these kind of profits in energy companies. That is just the fact. And again, I talked about diversified portfolios last week on the channel, FTSE versus the S&P 500, and looked at some of the differences between that. I mean, the S&P 500, the biggest winners in the S&P 500 this year so far, the only sector in the S&P 500 which is up, I think was up to up by 23.7% or around about there, was energy. So diversified portfolio, placing your money, being smart, and looking at the situation as it is, the land as it lies, and allocating your money into appropriate companies is really, really important. There's lots of money to be made in these circumstances like this. But again, like I said, I'm a citizen. I used to be one of those people that didn't really know how to allocate cash. My thoughts still go to the people who are struggling with energy prices right now. And I know a lot of them. I do. And this is bittersweet at the end of the day. But like I said, the video in about 5 minutes or so, if you are considering, or you know someone who is considering joining the Don't Pay UK campaign, cancelling direct debits on October 1st, watch that video, maybe share that video as well, because like I said, there are 5 things in that you need to know. I'm doing a bit of work with Turn to Us, which is a charity at the moment. They're working in the space trying to basically help people get more income through their households, using the benefit system. And it's staggering the stats that they talked about today on this week's podcast. If you've not listened to it already, go listen to it. And again, please do share it if you know of anyone that would benefit from that. But yeah, video is going to be live in 5 minutes. I just wanted to make this a really, really quick impromptu kind of live in the run up to that. We're going to continue to see this. And I think we just need to be mindful and, I guess, brace, because it's bittersweet for me. Definitely as an investor who believes in capitalism, but certainly as a person as well. And you may be feeling exactly the same as well. But anyway, there we are. Another great return for investors by BP. Catch you in a bit.